Today I have 4 movies for you and 4 TV shows. Let's hop into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Circle Club. I'm Tyrone. I'm here with our producer, Luna. She's making biscuits. Look at her. Alright, first up we got Air. Now, this movie, they sort of make the trailer hype it up like it's Michael Jordan and the story of his shoe and all that, and it kind of is, but it really is more like the story of Nike. Like, when I was watching this, I was like, okay, are we gonna see Michael Jordan? Are we not? And it sort of felt like this lingering thing back and forth. They honestly, ultimately, spoiler alert, decide not to show his face, which I think was the good decision to make. But really, this movie is about Sonny Vaccaro, who's played by Matt Damon, pursuing Michael Jordan to basically revive Nike, because at this point they were just getting destroyed by Converse, Adidas. And so basically Phil Knight, who's the CEO, played by Ben Affleck, he sort of takes this gamble with them, but it's like a risky gamble. I thought the cast for this, the ensemble, was really well done. Everyone balanced each other. Chris Tucker had some funny moments. I think I would like to see a little bit more of him there. Viola Davis was amazing. I would love to watch Viola play Dolores Jordan in like a whole biopic about Michael Jordan. I think she just really encapsulates the mother really well, and she's just the best. I would say this was a fun movie. It was a good time. I don't think I'll probably watch it again. I think this isn't something that you must see. I think there really isn't a lot of basketball, which I think the trailer shows, but it kind of alludes to. You make it feel like you have to know more about basketball. This is more a story about Nike and business. All right, next up we got Beau Was Afraid, and whew, this was a movie. So Beau Was Afraid from Ari Aster. He did Midsummer, he did Hereditary, and this movie is just wow. I mean, this movie is really hard to describe because it's just so much of everything. Like, it felt like that sort of chaotic energy of everything everywhere all at once, where there's so much going on. There's a lot of surrealist things going on, but this took it to another level. This was like an experimental film with a Hollywood budget. I think what Ari Aster tries to do here is really encapsulate, that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of guilt. And it sort of has this sort of fairy tale almost way of telling the story where, you go down the rabbit hole. I actually really enjoyed it. I think if you go into watching this movie, you're not trying to figure out, oh, what's the meaning? What's behind all this stuff? I think you'll enjoy this movie a lot more than some others have sort of reported on this. This movie definitely was not scary. There's some little bit of gore elements, blood and fighting and things like that. But this is really more thriller, if that. It felt just more like a psychological drama showcasing anxiety. Joaquin Phoenix is amazing as Beau Wasserman, and the younger version, that kid Armin Hapatine, I probably didn't say that right, but he plays Teen Beau. He does just as good. It felt like there was a good balance there. The ensemble, the cast, they all fit really well in this world. Like, these are actors that fit very, very particular for this type of story. I would say I would totally watch this again. Joaquin Phoenix said don't watch this on shrooms. I would agree. This is not something that you want to watch on shrooms because you will be just really fighting your own demons. I would say stay away as far as that. But this was definitely an entertaining movie. I would say watch it with your friends, and maybe you sort of have like a little discussion after of like, hey, do you feel some of these feelings, or what were some of the parts that you liked? I don't think this is the type of movie you go in to try to figure out what the plot is and the larger meanings, because I think there's a lot of micro meanings that sort of build up into a larger thing. But overall, I think it's just a fascinating thing to watch. I don't think this is something that you really need to dissect per se. Next up is Lilo and Stitch. I'm not gonna go on some big spiel about Lilo and Stitch. You know what it is. But I went back and watched this and I was like, man, this movie really holds up. Like, when we talk about Frozen and The Incredibles and just some of these classics, I'm like, yo, Lilo and Stitch is a classic. Like, this really, really does hold up well. And even though it's a bit sci-fi, it does a really good job of like grounding the story where it's drama. It's about, this young girl and her sister who sort of becomes her adopted mom and their relationship. I mean, this is just awesome. And like, I am nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm nervous about this live action that they're gonna do because I just don't get how they're going to recreate that same magic. Like the little girl that they cast, she's gonna have to really, really nail Lilo, and whatever CGI they have with Stitch, I imagine that would be very difficult for a young actress to do, but who knows? Like, I was thinking maybe they go the Roger Rabbit route with it, but doing that with a young actress, boy, it's gonna be really difficult. But I will be there. You know, I'm not a big Disney live action fan, but Lilo and Stitch, I will definitely be there because that's just something I like, especially after the first trailer where I'm gonna be like, how do you execute this? And this story, the root of this story is just so well done that if they keep it close to the source material, that in itself should be enough. But boy, was this a good movie, and I highly recommend if you want something to just for that chill Friday or afternoon movie, Lilo and Stitch is chef's kiss. All right, let's hop into some of the TV series. All right, first up, we got American Manhunt, the Boston Marathon bombing. What this documentary does is retell the story, start to finish, the aftermath, how people felt. There was a lot of disagreements and back and forth. And you know, it seems really dramatized as you're watching it, but like when you're living in that moment, it was terrifying. Like, we really did not know how severe this thing was. We didn't know if this was a terrorist attack. We didn't know if it was just individuals. We didn't know if there were more coming. And then when Jahar got away and he was just hiding, it was huge manhunt in the city. We were all like, oh my God. And for me, he was like a city away, which is crazy. I'm like, wow. So I would say if you want something intense, if you want something where you're like, wow, that was a good documentary or just a good story, definitely watch American Manhunt. This is like, yeah, they really nailed it. And I think they didn't leave out any details. Like, there was a lot of sort of like secretive things going on those days, but they put it all in here and they did a really good job with this. So this is on Netflix, so definitely check this one out. Next up, totally random, but Ultimate Airport Dubai. I was just on Disney Plus one day and they own Discovery Channel, so I was just feeling like watching some nature stuff. So I'm scrolling through and I find on the National Geographic this show called Ultimate Airport Dubai. And this is the largest airport in the entire world, so there's always, you know, warnings and threats and delays, and you get to see behind the scenes of like what is going on here, from like all the way from the level of, hey, there's drunk passengers or there's drunk people in the airport that need to be handled with, all the way to, hey, we have delays in the sky, we don't know if we're gonna have enough fuel, to why there are delays, to, hey, you know, are we gonna have to reroute these people and contact hotels? And it's just a really interesting thing. Like, it seems very niche, but like when you watch people who really love what they do and their job, I think like it's just fascinating to me. Like, you know, you don't think about the person who has to paint houses every day, or the person who makes stickers at Walmart that they give away, but like, you know, watching these people who are super dedicated in what they do, it's just fascinating. And National Geographic, they always really nail that behind the scenes sort of investigative reporting thing, and I just think this is a good pop on, you know, not too long thing, and I think you guys will definitely enjoy it for sure. Next up, let's stick with documentaries. Chimp Empire. So this is on Netflix. Mahershala Ali narrates, and he's just the best, man. The Mahershala, if you like, whenever Mahershala's involved with a project, you know it's gonna be tight. But this documentary explores chimpanzees, and you know, you hear how close of a relative they are to us, but watching them in this 4K and beautiful visual experience, like, you see that like there's politics with these chimps, there's social structure, and they have a very complex world full of family dynamics and territory disputes, and like it's very fascinating to watch how similar they are to us. And you know, if you're someone who likes to watch animals and National Geographic and beautiful imagery, I think you definitely want to check this one out. It really isn't too long either, and Mahershala does a great job of narrating the story and taking you through those different experiences. And when you're watching Chimp Empire, you just think like, wow, like this is so interesting how close they are to humans. Like you always hear about it, but to see it in action, it is just fascinating to me. So Chimp Empire definitely gets my seal of approval. I would say check that one out too. Next up, if you've been keeping up with Abbott Elementary, we had our finale here in the US, and the will they, won't they, back and forth, Janae, Gregory, it it had this nice sort of finale where you got to see different sides of some of the characters. But what I really like is when you look at episode 1 of Abbott Elementary to where we are now, how Barbara's relationship has changed with Janine so much. And I think even just Ava's relationship, she sort of understands. I think Ava actually is a better principal than we originally led on to. But Gregory and Janine, they sort of go back and forth and decide, will they be together or not? And ultimately, Janine says she needs to take some time for herself. And I think this is an important lesson for young women who are watching the show, that, you know, life isn't always about romance and loves and couples. And and from, you know, the male perspective in this hetero relationship, you're looking at Gregory, where it's like, you don't have to, just because someone said now is not the time, doesn't mean you have to stop being their friend, doesn't mean you have to stop pursuing, doesn't mean you have to fall out of love. And you see this sort of awakening with Gregory, where he's like, you know what? I'm happy that she's gonna take some time for herself, but also I'm not gonna give up. And I think the next couple seasons that we get with Abbott Elementary, we're gonna really start to see romance brewing, because the two have admitted that they have feelings for each other and that it just wasn't the right timing. So Abbott Elementary going forward is going to be must-watch TV, as it already is. All right, next up we got Dave season 3. Dave is back. If you don't know about Dave, Dave is this neurotic, weird Jewish rapper in his late 20s, and you know, he was convinced himself when he was younger he was destined to be a rapper. And Lil Dicky is the rapper, and it's like a pseudo biopic on his life. And at this point in season 3, he has already become a rapper. He's on tour, so now that he's on tour, he's really like starting to flex his muscles a little bit, really starting to experience fame and what that means for his family and friends at home. Traveling through the U.S., he's starting to experience different parts of the country. Like, he deals with Southern hospitality, he deals with fans putting on a show to sort of be that it girl for him. He also has to deal with home relationships, exes coming back, things of that nature. And this is just a funny show. Like, the way that Lil Dicky approaches his rap is through a comedic take, and that he definitely puts that into the show as well. And I think this is a nice, fun show. It's about 25-30 minutes long, and the ensemble that he has with him, Gata and some of these other guys, are just hilarious. They all really work and blend very well, and you get a lot of cameos from celebrities and things like that. So Dave, I would say if you're interested in music and rap or just the life of a musician, I would say you definitely want to check out Dave. All right, last up we got Beef on Netflix, and boy, yo, they crushed this. Basically, two strangers get into a road rage incident which brings chaos into their life. It stars Ali Wong and Steven Yeun. Ali Wong plays Amy, and one day they're at the store and the parking lot, and she runs into Steven's character, Danny, and he beeps the horn at her. She flips him off. They start chasing each other, which leads to this chase scene with their cars. She gets away, and he can't let it go. It's just brewing within him, so he starts searching up what the car was like. He got the license plates, tried to find her name, and then it's just back and forth and back and forth. And as you're watching this, it just gets out of hand to the point where you're like, it starts to affect the family, it starts to affect their mental health, it starts to affect who they are, and you're watching this like, how bad does this get? How deep does this go? But you get David Cho in it, who's an excellent artist, and he does fantastic, who plays Isaac, who's Danny's cousin. You get Danny's younger brother, played by Young Mazzino, who is awesome. He does a great job. This is really just an excellent standout cast, and I don't think they're gonna do a season 2. I would like if they don't do a season 2. This is a limited series. It seems like they get one season, they put it all on the table, and the finale, it wraps up pretty well. My mom hated the finale. She just hated how it left sort of not open-ended, but a little bit open-ended, and some people don't like that kind of thing, but I thought the ending was fine. I thought they got to the point. The characters learn their lessons, and that wraps it up. But if you haven't seen Beef yet, this is definitely one of those that you start to press play and you're like, uh-oh, gotta watch the next. Like, I don't binge a lot of TV shows, but this one I definitely had to binge on one week, and it was that good for me. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you guys subscribe and comment what you have been watching and if I should watch anything else as well. We'll see you next time, and as we always say, just be you. Peace.